Hello buddy, welcome back to another video. And in this video I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about the conduit, how they work, how to create one, and what it will do. So this will be the same pretty much for Java Edition and Bedrock Edition. If there are any differences, I will explain those of course. So if you like Minecraft videos like this one, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft videos like this one. But let's just get started with the conduit. So I have an example right behind me of how to build this, but we'll go through this in a little bit more detail in a second. So this is what it will look like. But first of all, how do you get a conduit? That's of course very important if you want to build one, activate it and use its abilities. So to get a conduit, you will need 8 Nautilus Shells. And you will need a Heart of the Sea. So this Heart of the Sea you can find inside a buried treasure. Now buried treasures are not very common. So what you will first need to find is a shipwreck. So there's an example of a shipwreck right over here. So these will just naturally generate within ocean. So just go explore some oceans and try to find a shipwreck. And these shipwrecks can have a chest with paper, feathers, and the most important part, a buried treasure map. So try to find one of these, go through a couple of shipwrecks, see if you can find it. So there can be 3 different chests inside a shipwreck, one with diamonds, iron, stuff like that. One with food and one with paper and the buried treasure map. So first you have to find this buried treasure map and then you have to locate the X on the treasure map. So you can just move around to see where we need to go. There we go over here. We're on the map. Now we just need to travel over to the X. Here we are. So our buried treasure should be somewhere here. If you're on Java Edition, you can easily find it by looking at your F3 screen. And then just look up here at the chunk. It says 924 right now. Make sure the first and the last of those numbers are a 9. And then if you go straight down and dig in the sand, you will see that there is the chest, the buried treasure. So if you open it, we will see that there will be the Heart of the Sea. So there will always be a Heart of the Sea in one of these buried treasures. So that's how to obtain the Heart of the Sea. And then of course you need the 8 Nautilus Shells. And there are a couple of ways to obtain these. So you can get Nautilus Shells from fishing. And you can increase the drop rates of the Nautilus Shells by using the Luck of the Sea enchantment on your fishing rod. But it is very, very rare. So I would not suggest doing this. The most common way to get Nautilus Shells would be to kill drowned. Because on Java Edition, drowned have a 3% chance of holding a Nautilus Shell, which will always drop. And on Bedrock Edition, this chance is actually 8%, so much more likely. So it'll be easier to get the Nautilus Shells on Bedrock Edition. And then the third way to get Nautilus Shells is by finding a wandering trader. These will spawn randomly in your world, and they will sell you a Nautilus Shell for 5 emeralds. So both these items are very rare and very difficult to come by. So it might take you some time to actually get the 8 Nautilus Shells and the Heart of the Sea. But once you've gotten all of these items, you can craft the conduit like this with the Heart of the Sea in the middle and the Nautilus Shells around. And you'll get the conduit. So now let's go over to how to actually activate this conduit. Because if you place it down normally, it doesn't do anything. It only gives off a light level of 15. That's nice of course, but it would be a very expensive light source. And even if you place it underwater, it just gives up some light, nothing more. So you have to look at the conduit as a sort of beacon. You have to build a structure around the block and then it will give you some effects. So let's go through this structure. So you can build it out of prismarine, prismarine bricks, dark prismarine and sea lanterns. And the other blocks won't help, but you can add them if you want. And then place them in the same fashion as I did right over there. So the first layer will just be a plus sign like this, 5 blocks, 5 blocks. And then go up on all of the edges like this. And then we'll need a square. So just build on top of these blocks like this. So you can change these blocks out. It doesn't really matter. You can add prismarine in the center. You can do, as long as you use these 4 blocks and you add 16 of them in this entire structure, then it will work. So let's see this happening. So we want to place the conduit in the center. But of course we need to raise it 1 block, so it'll be in the center of the entire structure. So there we'll place the conduit. And now we will see that it activates already. So you'll need a minimum of 16 blocks around the conduit for it to activate. And so these are the 16 blocks made up of the sea lanterns and the different types of prismarine. You can't use the stairs, slabs or walls of the prismarine. It has to be the full blocks. So if we go back to 16 blocks, we'll see the conduit is still activated. And now if we go back to 15, we'll see that it stops being activated. Or at least it doesn't have the animation anymore. But we will see that it still works. So it still gets the conduit power effect right here. And this conduit power effect restores your oxygen, gives you underwater night vision, so you can see a whole lot in the water. And it will increase our mining speed as well. So let's go into survival to see this. So we're in survival, we have the conduit effect. We'll see that our bubbles don't go down. If we start to mine, we will see it still goes pretty slow, but it goes faster now if we have the conduit power, which is always nice, of course. So let's break and place another conduit. And we'll see that it's not activated. Our conduit power is wearing off. And then once it's completely gone, we will see, there we go, we don't have the night vision anymore. And we have no conduit power effect. So apart from the 16 blocks of prismarine, you will also need water in a 3x3x3 area around the conduit. You can't place any other blocks there, so if you add more blocks here again, so now we definitely have 16. The conduit should have activated, but it doesn't activate because there is a block inside of the 3x3 area of water it needs. So if you remove that block and then place back our prismarine, we will see, there we go, the conduit activates and we get all our effects back. Now you'll only get these effects while you're in contact with either water or rain. So if we go above here, we will see that the conduit power will start wearing off. And once we get back into the water, there we go, our conduit power regenerates. And the range of the conduit is actually dependent on how many blocks of prismarine or sea lantern you have around the conduit. The radius of this range increases by 16 blocks for every 7 blocks you add to the structure. But to activate it, you of course first need 16. So if we add more blocks here, we will see that the range increases. And the maximum range is a radius of 96 blocks. So let's complete this entire structure. Let's add the rest of the blocks. And then we will have the full range conduit. So there we go. Let's add in these last few blocks. And there we go. Now it's a full conduit. And we can actually see this by looking at the texture inside here. So we will see that it has the Heart of the Sea texture in the center, and of course the Nautilus Shells textures around it. But if you have a full conduit with all the 42 blocks around it, then it also has this orange piece in the center. So it looks a tiny bit different on Bedrock Edition, but the idea is the same. So if you remove one of these blocks, we will see that this texture will change. There we go, we remove the block, and now the orange part is gone. So that's a nice way to see if you've actually built everything correctly. And there is actually an extra feature here that you might not have known about. So if you have this complete frame around the conduit, it will actually attack hostile mobs within a range of 8 blocks. And it will do 2 hearts of damage every 2 seconds. So let's summon in some drowned to see this happening. There we go, we have a drowned and we see the particles of the conduit appear around the drowned and we see that it takes damage. And so we'll take 2 hearts every 2 seconds and there we go, it dies. So this range is not very big, it's just 8 blocks. So if we summon a whole bunch of drowned here, we'll see this radius very clearly. And as you can see, it also only damages 1 drowned at a time. There we go, it got another drowned over here. So it's not super effective, but it will take out every single hostile mob eventually. So that's another pretty cool feature of the conduit. Of course, the hostile mobs can't do anything about the conduit because they can't attack it or anything. There's nothing to attack. So as you can see, it will also attack mobs like skeletons, but it will only attack mobs that are within the water. So if the mobs are not in water, then it won't attack it. So the conduit actually only has power when something is touching water. So the same for you. If you leave the water, you won't get the effects. And if the mobs leave the water, they won't get damaged by it as well. Of course, this is not true if it's raining, because then you're still in contact with water once you're out of the water. And so this range of 96 blocks is of course very large. So right here, we can't even see the conduit anymore. So we don't have the effect anymore. Let's move closer to the conduit. There we go. Now we receive the effect. So let's move all the way back to the conduit. There it is. So the range of getting these buffs is actually very large. So you don't need many of these fully constructed conduits to get your entire area covered. Of course, if you do want the conduits to attack mobs, then you'll need a whole lot more. And that's going to be a very expensive, of course, because these conduits aren't cheap. You have to find one buried treasure for every single conduit. And if you want to get more of these, you probably need a drowned farm as well. There we go. That's how to get a conduit, how to activate it, and what it will do for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft videos like this one. I want to thank my tier members, Smikkelaar and Thank you so much for being tier 3 members. If you also want to become a member, click the blue join button below the video to check out the different tiers. There we go. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope to see you all in the next one. So until then, bye bye.